Hello, this is Rob Thomas with Club and Resort Business, and you're watching another episode of Club and Resort Talks. This episode of Club and Resort Talks is brought to you by TrackMan. The TrackMan 4 captures every detail with astounding precision. That's club and ball data, including impact location. It's full ball flight numbers with video analysis and data tailored to you. Learn more at trackman.com. Now let's get to Phil Karen, our senior editor. Phil, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Rob. How are you?
Terrific. Hey, what's going on in the news that you're seeing right now?
Well, there's been a couple interesting things I've noticed over the last week or so. And I've actually written a column about this before. Pickleball, of course, is becoming a regular part of the country club experience. And I know we had a story recently on the website, clubandresortbusiness.com, about that. Some clubs there near Albany, New York, putting in pickleball courts. Thought it was an interesting quote from the general manager, Colony Golf and Country Club general manager Mike Jewell. He had a quote in the story that we ran that said, a lot of facilities were wondering if this would be a fad, but it kept going and going and going. So clearly a lot of clubs were kind of waiting to see if this was just a fad or if this was going to be something that was worth a long-term investment. And of course, they're finding out now that it's probably well worth a long-term investment. There's a big interest in the sport. Yeah,
terrific. And we always talk about rising tide lifts all ships. So not only is pickleball the fastest growing sport in America, but it's also boosting tennis numbers, paddle numbers. So everything that's kind of associated squash, that's associated with racket sports, are gaining in popularity again too.
Absolutely. And one of my, as I mentioned in my column a couple months ago, one of my New Year's resolutions this year is to try pickleball. Have not done it yet. Still got to wait for the weather to improve a little bit more here where I am, but I'm looking forward to it. Maybe I can persuade my wife or one of my sons to join me out there.
From what I understand, I've not played it yet myself. I've watched some pickleball at the club, and it seems like it's low impact. You can be as intense as you want to be. You can have some guys really out there busting their humps and going after every shot, or you can have some leisurely 80-year-old folks just kind of knocking the ball around. It's kind of for everybody.
Yes. And I think that's what kind of distinguishes it from tennis. I used to play tennis quite a bit when I was younger. And it's tough on your body, on your joints and everything. It's a demanding sport for sure. And the trick with tennis is that you typically have to find somebody who's kind of at your ability level. Otherwise, it doesn't work the same way as it does with golf.
So, right. No, that's it.
And speaking of golf, we did, of course, as you know, Rob, we saw some big news in the golf world. Tiger Woods and his golf course design firm, TGR Design, they're working with Marcella Club near Park City, Utah, to create a new 18-hole golf course. As I understand, it's the first 18-hole golf course that Tigers has built in Utah. So that's very exciting. Marcella Club, it's a partnership between two master plan communities, Marcella Mountain and Marcella Jordan L. Ridge. And as I understand it, Marcella Jordan L. Ridge will actually have two 18-hole courses, and one of those will be the one designed by Tiger's design firm. And this course is going to be more than 8,000 yards in length. So it'll make it one of the longest in the state of Utah. So you have to dust off your driver for that.
Yeah.
They're looking to have that ready in 2025.
Man, I know elevation helps. The ball's going to go a little farther, but it's got to go a lot farther for me to play 8,000-yard golf course.
I know. Yeah, exactly. I've never been a long hitter, and as I've gotten older, I'm probably don't hit it as far as I did even 10 or 20 years ago. But should be a great course. Should be exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing that. 2025 will be the time for it. One other thing mentioned too, the club's going to offer just 500 full golf memberships for that full 36-hole facility, making it kind of one of the more exclusive clubs in the state of Utah.
Well, Utah's got some beautiful golf courses, beautiful clubs. This is certainly going to be right up there with it. I mean, anything that Tiger touches turns to gold. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm just, got to wait till 2025, but man, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. Speaking of fun too, I actually just today got my copy of Club and Resort Business, the edition, our February edition that we just finished, and I just thought I'd mention my cover story this month is on Glens Falls Country Club in Queensbury, New York. It's about 60 miles north of Albany. Actually, we're just mentioning Albany, and as the headline shows here, it's a club for all seasons. And oftentimes we know clubs, things slow down a little bit in the winter time, but at Glens Falls they have an ice skating rink there where you can skate or play ice hockey. Adults and children welcome. Sledding, cross country skiing, snowshoeing, all those types of activities offered there. So Darren Crippen, the general manager there, was nice enough to speak with me. I didn't get a chance to visit the club, but looks like a great facility. Exciting that they offer so many opportunities. Actually, speaking of racket sports, we were talking about pickleball. They have platform tennis there, and they actually have heated courts, so people can, as if the weather cooperates enough, you can play that sport in the wintertime as well, in addition to the cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, ice skating, sled riding for the kids, all kinds of good stuff there happening at Glens Falls Country Club.
Hey,
So check it out.
platform tennis is terrific. We have it at my club as well. And you can play right up in the winter. There is a warming hut because, it is outdoor sport. The court stays fairly dry and it's kind of warm, but when it's 20 degrees out there and the wind's blowing, you're going to get cold. But hey, kudos to Erin Canetta, our designer, because that cover very unique, and she does a fantastic job, not only on the cover but within the magazine as well. And we're trying to diversify. We're not everything's just these pretty golf courses. We've had now we had a lady using a TrackMan at the bridges of the Rancho Santa Fe in California on the cover. We've had obviously beautiful golf courses still. We're going to be changing things up, maybe putting a little Club and Resort Chef on the cover in the future too, when the big issues come out. So Erin Canetta is doing a fantastic job.
She really is. She really is. The design stuff is excellent here. It really gives us a wonderful product.
Hey, and, also in that issue, Phil, is is an article, a column by Robin Shelton. He's the general manager of the Newport Beach Country Club out in California. One of the things I want to talk about is his road method of member integration. That's rip off and duplicate. That's what road stands for. He takes what one of his colleagues does, giving drink tickets to people when they're doing this orientation, instead of just like, great, this is how we run our club. This is what's going to be expected of you, and then let you out into the club, right? This way he has them meet one-on-one to come in, they talk, and they go over the stuff in advance. And for every right question this member gets, bam, a drink ticket or an event ticket or something like that. So all these benefits. So the more the member knows going into this meeting, the more he benefits from this meeting. The drink tickets can then go, right to the pub with some of the other members. We will help them show around. It's been fantastic. And there's been a 42% increase in retention just since he's implemented his road method. So, or this method of integration. So that's a fantastic thing. Read about it in the February issue. There's also Max Pacino DeBoer. I'm going to botch your name. I hope I didn't botch it.
DeBoer, yes.
Director of Membership and Marketing at the Club of Mediterra. She talks about the KISS method, right? Keep it simple stupid, right? That, as far as, getting your members, but she adds an extra S, keep it simple, stupid, and short. So,
short.
We're bam, bam, bam. We got a lot of stuff going on right now. We don't have time for lengthy emails, newsletters. We can't read all that stuff, and keep it simple and short, stupid. Max, thank you very much, Max, for your Ask Max. That's on the website as well as the magazine right now. So check it out, clubresortbusiness.com.
Right. Absolutely. One thing I want to mention too, my column this month in this issue was about looking at the National Golf Foundation's report, State of the Game of Golf. And what's interesting to notice is that now there are more people, hopefully I'm saying this right, more people are involved with, if you will, off the course golf activities than are involved with actually on course activities. Now, still both categories are rising quite a bit, but the off course ones, especially you're talking about entertainment golf venues, standalone driving ranges, simulator facilities, whatever, what have you, are rising at a very, very quick clip. And I wrote about that in the column that appears in the February edition, which I know we'll have online eventually too, as a digital edition on clubandresortbusiness.com. But it's interesting because when I first started playing golf like 4 decades ago, I never would have envisioned the idea that you would actually have more people going to, if you will, off course sites for golf, and to do it really as a form of entertainment, if you will. You and I would have thought of that just as simply practicing, right? Which, can be kind of dull sometimes, but it's interesting to see now that we've moved into this place where we've kind of treated the game of golf, or have a place for where people can enter it as just something fun and entertaining. And who knows, that will certainly lead some of them to playing the game in a more serious and intensive way down the road, I would think.
Yeah, it's a great introduction to the game. All it takes is that one pure shot and you're hooked, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have ourselves in Independence, so I guess it's considered Cleveland, but Top Golf down near you in Akron, Big Shots Golf. I know downtown Cleveland right now, they're opening I think it's called a 5-iron golf simulators, and there's fittings and everything. One of our guys was just down there checking it out. So there's just Cleveland, our little bubble alone is really growing as far as off the course entertainment. Go grab a beer, burger while you're playing.
Yep.
No, it's not just
watch the game here and there, right?
Right. Listen to the music, have a good time.
Yep.
It's a
Exactly.
date night all of a sudden, not just you and the boys going out. Take your wife. She doesn't have to golf. She doesn't have to play that much, but she can go out there and she can hit a golf ball, sit down, have a glass of wine or whatever she wants to do, right? Just kind of enjoy it. That's the golf entertainment or whatever they're calling it.
Yes, but, something like that.
Yeah, it's something, but it's fantastic. And the game continues to grow, which leads me to our guest on this episode of the podcast, what he's doing to grow the game. It's Joe Meglen, Director of Player Development at StoneWater Golf Club in Highland Heights, Ohio. Joe is doing a lot with youth, and his not only Joe, but there's another director of development there. There's another instructor there, and they're really doing a lot to get not only kids in, ladies in, bringing people back to the golf course. Maybe you stopped playing years ago, and COVID has all of a sudden reintroduced people to it. But Joe is doing a ton of stuff, and they're actually expanding their teaching facility there at StoneWater. This year should be open any day now. But listen to what Joe has to say. And it was a good conversation. He was busy giving some instructions, so I caught him in between. And I'd like to thank Joe for taking time to talk to us.
Sounds good.
All right. Hey, I'm Rob Thomas with Club and Resort Business, and I got Joe Meglen, Director of Player Development at StoneWater Golf Club in Highland Heights, Ohio, with me. Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Joe, if you're not familiar, was just named one of the best young teachers in America by Golf Digest. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. 2 weeks ago, they released the magazine that had, I think, 150 coaches between the ages of, in their 20s and 30s. So best young instructors. And my name made the list. It's a good thing too, because I'm 38 now. So I'm not super young, but once you hit 40, you're no longer able to make the list. So that might have been my last chance to get on there.
Just under the gun. Way to go.
Yeah, right.
Well, hey, I can no longer brag about being under 40. So you got me on that one. What can you tell me a little bit? What is your day-to-day basically at StoneWater as Director of Player Development? What do you guys do?
Well, I'm fortunate that we have 2 instructors at the same facility. So either in the morning or in the afternoon or evening, we'll usually have some type of clinic, but typically I get there between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning. I kind of review my lessons from the previous week, because I'm usually seeing people on a recurring basis to develop their game. So whatever my lesson was with them last week, I'm going to review it so I know what we're working on that day. And then I start teaching. So if I'm there at 9, I'm usually teaching it around 9:30 or 10. If I'm there at 10, I usually start teaching at 10:30, 11. And then I kind of run through a gamut of 6 to 9 golf lessons in the day. And like I said, at certain times of the year, we offer different clinics with, anywhere from 12 to 14 people on different player development topics.
And you have a pretty extensive practice facility there, right? The range, practice green, everything from there.
Yeah, StoneWater's awesome. So not only do we have a full driving range for our players to use, we also have a separate teaching tee for the instructors to use, which we use for clinics or just individual lessons. There's a short game area where you can work on shots probably inside of about 30 yards, as well as a putting green. And more recently, which should be opening, as we speak, we're developing a year-round teaching and fitting center that will have 3 TrackMan bays in it.
That's fantastic. I was just about to get to that, but I wasn't sure if that was kind of between you and I. So I'm glad that you brought it up.
No, it's definitely like I said, any day now they're putting the finishing touches on it, and it should be opening depending on when this airs, within a week, so that we'll start doing fittings and lessons in there. Have the ability to open up the doors on nicer days, and then also have the ability to have simulator play on throughout the season, or throughout the off season, I should say.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, I told you I'm right around the corner, so I'm going to come visit and see what that center's all about.
It's really exciting. I mean, my background is teaching on, that type of software. And I was using it at StoneWater. We had a bay, but now to be able to do it year round is going to be awesome for not only myself as an instructor, but players just being able to continue to hone their games and hone their skills during the off season. Because, I think it's changing a little bit now, but the mindset for a Ohioan, for a Clevelander for a long time was, I'm going to put the clubs away for 4 to 5 months, maybe go on one trip. But now we have the ability with multiple facilities around the city and ours at StoneWater to be able to train players and have them train and work on stuff, in the cold January, February months.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm a mid handicapper right around 10. Do you teach and coach everywhere in between? Do you got some low handicappers, some beginners, everything?
Yeah, I mean, I have players who are looking to, play the game for a living, that want to play in college, play professionally, all the way to straight beginners. I would say a bulk of my students tend to be, in that probably 10 to 25 handicap range, because that's just where majority of golfers tend to fall. I am seeing a lot of the newer golfer, that, younger player between, 25 and 40 years old, I actually just had a lesson this morning with a guy who's only been playing golf for 3 years. So I see a lot of that player who's, probably shooting scores between 85 and 100, who's been new to the game, where they got out doing it because their buddies invited them to go play golf 2 years ago, and now they're hooked and they can't get enough of it.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, obviously with COVID, these last 2-3 years, the industry's boom, boom, boom. So let's take that demographic, that 10 to 20 handicapper. What's the most common mistake you're seeing in the average golfer right now?
So I don't want to get too technical in the terms, but basically referencing kind of an over the top or a steep downswing, right? Like the most common pattern I see with a player is taking the club too far to the inside of the backswing, which opens the club face too much. And then as they transition, the club tends to steepen and they come over the top. They have varying ways of delivering the club from there, but the result is a leftward path, too much spin on the golf ball, and the ball slicing too much. So that's probably the number one issue that I see the guy today who was the 3-year golfer, that's exactly what we worked on, right? Club face was getting too open in the backswing. He was coming over the top and hitting 50-yard slices with his driver. So we were trying to work in the opposite direction of that. Club face more closed, swing the club more from the inside on the way down.
Man, guilty as charged. I just took a online lesson with Rick Shields from over in the UK.
Nice.
And he talks
Yeah.
about going from your backswing to, like, I'm looking at a clock, right to like 5. And then your follow through, your forward swing, aiming at or starting at 7, I guess, and going to right field. I don't know. I mean, I'm mixing all my terms here, but so that's exactly what I've been worried about, bringing it in too far and then slicing the heck out of that golf ball.
Fortunately for me, it's a huge problem, right? So it's kind of never ending business because so many people do that same mistake. And it's not an easy thing to fix either, because, they have their buddies or their friends telling them what to do, or, they're looking at guys like me and Rick Shields online and seeing what we say, but it's always easier to implement it when you have a mentor or a coach kind of guiding you through that.
Just like funeral directors, right? You got an endless stream of customers.
Like you said, after COVID and all the guys and even women into the game that are between the ages of like 25 and 40 that are new to golf, that are kind of hooked. They're really driven people. They like the challenge of the game, and they get frustrated that they get stuck at some type of plateau at some point during their improvement, and that's when they give me a call.
Hey, now you'd mentioned TrackMan. I know that our resident golf pro here at Club and Resort Business, Matt Kilgariff, who's out at the Bridges in Rancho Santa Fe, he uses also swing plate, I believe, and all kinds of different technology. What kind of technology are you working with mostly?
Right now, it's just TrackMan, which itself is a lot of information. I'm in the process of working with a company called Sportsbox 3D, um, which is an AI measurement system through an iPad or an iPhone. I signed up with them. I just started kind of getting introduced to that product. So it's going to be measuring body movements of the player when they're swinging. So it's pretty cool that now we can do that type of stuff with an iPad or an iPhone to kind of measure the golf swing in that format.
Yeah, I mean, TrackMan is pretty much all you need, right? I mean, you got those pros taking out the driving range. It's information overload for hackers like me because there's all kinds of stuff that I don't know what I'm looking at. But obviously, guys like you can pull a lot from there.
Yeah, and I do use video too. So I use different video through my iPhone, iPad. But yeah, I mean, TrackMan is measuring what's happening, right? So we're not guessing anymore at what's creating the ball flight. We know what's creating the ball flight, and usually you can kind of focus on one or two of those key parameters for the player and start to get them to understand what they need to do to start hitting better golf shots. And the nice thing now is there's so many TrackMan available for them to use where they could go out on their own, and if you give them what to focus on, they can pull those numbers up and watch them as they're hitting and getting the feedback that they need.
That's terrific. Terrific. It's getting it's trickled down to where the average golfer can really benefit from that kind of information, correct? It's not just Tiger Woods and Ricky Fowler and Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, for example, like path is always one that you're working on with a lot of players. So the over the top player tends to swing too far to the left with the face too open to their club path. So let's just say they're swinging 8 degrees out to in, right? Well, that leftward path or that out to in path is going to create a lot of problems for them because they're so far away from being more in a rightward draw position. And so you can explain to that player, okay, you're 8 degrees out to in. When you're in here for the lesson, we get you closer to zero. So when you're practicing on your own, if you can just get that number closer to zero, whatever that feels like, all of a sudden you're going to hit better golf shots because you're not hitting this massive slice out of bounds.
Yeah. Again, guilty as charged. Hey, I'll get you out on this one, Joe. What is the future of instruction? What are guys like you, directors of player development, golf instructors, head golf pro, wherever you're at? What are you guys looking at as the future?
So the immediate future is finding ways to broaden your audience, I think. So the immediate future is going to be, you know, more group lesson style and going into that format where, you know, I'm limited right now in terms of only being able to teach one player at a time. But if I can find a more efficient way to teach 3 or 4 golfers at the same time, now I can broaden my reach and teach more players. Also online too, right? So online lessons, that's already here. Like you just took an online lesson with Rick Shields. I think that that's going to also start to be more of commonplace with players, especially that younger generation that's already used to doing things on their phone. And then I think like near future, 3 to 5 years out, you're going to see a lot of stuff with AI in golf and how we change how we measure the golf swing, right? Where we're going to be able to basically record a golf swing on an iPhone and that will spit back like the information for the player. Now it's always better and more beneficial to have somebody there who knows what they're doing to guide them, but the phone will be able to kind of give the player the information that they need and kind of give them an understanding of what they're doing wrong just by inputting their swing in the phone. I even think at some point, you know, because one of the first launch monitors I was using had 2 cameras in it, and most iPhones now I think have 3. So I think at some point you'll see some sort of launch monitor data in an iPhone that you can sell to a player through an app. I think all that stuff is on the horizon.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. Hey, Joe, thank you very much for joining us, and let us know what's going on, and I'll see you at StoneWater.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me. That was great.